Come for today's morning Srimad Bhagavad Gita class. Let's say our prayers. Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unminitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasavi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Om Tat Sat. So today we are discussing on the 11th chapter. The chapter is entitled The Universal Form, and we will be discussing verse number 6. Pashyadityan vasun rudran ashvinau marutastata bahuni adhishtapurvani pashyascharyani bharata. Translation is like this. O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Aswini Kumaras, and all the other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard of before. So this is in the context of Arjuna seeking to see the universal form of the Lord. This is, I think, 2 verses before, where he is saying, if you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self. So this is Arjuna's request. And if you see, he is saying, it's not like Arjuna doesn't know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because he's saying here, right? He's saying, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self. That means he is already knowing, but he's still desiring to see the opulence of the Lord. And of course, the devotees would have covered, Arjuna is someone who's not doubting Krishna. And he's basically doing that because here he wants to, the parampara system, right? You know, this parampara system is, this is what it is, where they actually want to hear the whole thing from the Lord's lotus mouth, because the Lord is got no limitations. That means the Lord is perfect. There is nothing which is wanting. If any man actually tries to create something, it will be faulty because we are having the 4 faults. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no fault, and therefore anything that is to be understood in a perfect way has to come from the perfect source that we would have seen in earlier in many chapters. Therefore, the perfection can only come from the Lord, and therefore when the Lord himself says it and we simply communicate what the Lord says, then that is perfect message. But if we say with our own limited realization something, this is God, that is God, then that is supposed to be naturally bound to be faulty. Therefore, Arjuna wanted to hear it from the lotus mouth of the Lord, that, you know, all the perfect signs of the spiritual reality. What is the constitutional position, why this world is made of, and every other detail, every minute details the Lord has discussed in this Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, he wants to hear from the Lord, and he wants to simply pass on that message in the parampara system, and therefore he is asking for all of us, the generations to come, particularly the people of Kali, that, you know, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And to the extent that, you know, we can see this later, the Lord will say, "Oh, declare boldly, O Arjuna." That means Arjuna is supposed to be a credible personality, right? You know, That's why Krishna says, even he could have himself said, no, that to the whole world that, I am the Supreme Person. He could have shown the form or whatever, but then he is saying, maybe, he was saying, maybe people don't believe me. Like there are cases when Arjuna did, Duryodhana did not believe Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when someone like Krishna himself says, people may not believe, but he wants to make that statement to be made by a credible person so that people will be able to accept it. Like, we all say, right, endorsements are there always, like, in a lighter sense, if you see, why is all the advertisements full of these famous personalities? Why do they need these famous personalities? That is because the common psychology of human, which they have understood very clearly when they make these marketing events, that when some person with credibility in whatever field they are in, like it could be a film star or it could be a musician or whatever, sports personality, when these people come and say, you buy this toothpaste, how does toothpaste has got anything to do with, for example, a house or how does a toothpaste has anything to do with an actor, right? Or maybe an actor, you can say, maybe because his teeth look nice in the movie or whatever. But if you look, say that by some other person or a sports person or some other musician, so how does the toothpaste have an, do with this musician? But still, they are projecting that person in that marketing, because when he or she says, people tend to believe in the back of their mind and they buy that product. So Krishna is also saying, oh Arjuna, you go and declare boldly to this world. That means, therefore, when Arjuna says, people will be able to accept it. So that is one reason why Arjuna is actually asking, so that he is able to go and give this information that, Krishna has all these forms inside of him and he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, with that context, let's see this particular verse. Prabhupada has not given a lot of purport to this, but we do. But he has written in various other verses different things, so we can make some understanding out of that. So here he is saying, even though Arjuna was a personal friend of Krishna and the most advanced of learned men, it was still not possible for him to know everything about Krishna. So that is the first point. So when he's saying you see the universal form of the Lord, even though Arjuna is very close, even though Arjuna is a very pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that doesn't mean he will be able to know everything. We keep saying, right, what is the purpose of hearing? What is the purpose of hearing about Lord Krishna? Why we have to hear about all the incarnations? We always say, right, when you're hearing about the person, you get to know more about the person. When you know more about the person, then you are able to appreciate their qualities like that, right? We see so many people walking on the road, but there could be amazing personalities there, but we do not develop any special liking or attraction just by seeing them walk on the road. But just by somehow, if we develop a connect with them, we smile and then we get to speak, and then we see, oh, this person is so and so, so and so. And then wow, he's very nice. I'm very grateful to be actually associating with you. All these things come, but not by just simply seeing that person walk by, right? So it comes by hearing about the person, what are his great qualities, what are his achievements and things like that. And therefore, in terms of with Krishna also, the more we are able to hear, the more we are able to understand his personality, then we get more and more attracted to that personality. So now the point is, therefore, Arjuna, being a very close friend, knows so many things about him, but it is mentioned here by Prabhupada that nobody can actually understand the full length and breadth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That also shows the unlimitedness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to the extent that why Arjuna, why Radharani, Krishna himself does not know the full potency of his own capabilities. So Prabhupada, while reading Rilamrita, I think I remember seeing this, where Prabhupada says Krishna is so powerful and so unlimited that he keeps on expanding his powers every day. So to that extent, what happens is there was one instance, like, that means there is nothing that Krishna cannot do. Then the question comes, okay, can Krishna create something which he cannot lift himself? Now there is two things. If he says he cannot lift, then he is not God. But at the same time, if he cannot create something which he cannot do, then he is not God. So this is a kind of a catch-21 situation, right? Where either way, if you do, then it becomes a negative for that point. Therefore, then Prabhupada says, actually, Krishna can create something which he cannot lift. For a second, he cannot lift it. But then his powers keeps growing, and therefore he can immediately lift it. The next few milliseconds, he can lift it. So here both is happening. He creates something which he cannot lift, but within a fraction of a second, he can lift. So that means this shows that Krishna's potencies keep expanding to such an extent, nobody can actually know him in full. Like today, now you will know this is the greatness of Krishna, but then next second, it has grown bigger, and he can do much more than what you already thought he can do. So this is so amazing. That's what Prabhupada is writing. Nobody can know Krishna. Not possible for him to know everything about Krishna. But nonetheless, Krishna here is trying to exhibit some of his universal form aspects to Arjuna. Now, in this context, the next one is here it is stated that humans have neither heard nor known of all these forms and manifestations. Now Krishna reveals these wonderful forms. And Krishna himself says, behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard of before. So now this is Krishna's own words, that what he's going to show to Arjuna is something which no one has seen or heard before. Now, actually, there are 3 instances where Krishna has actually revealed, to my knowledge, which I have also heard from various other senior devotees and speakers, that Krishna has revealed similar things to 3 people, but each one is unique, because before this, Krishna had shown this to 2 more people in different forms. One is to Yashoda, when he was a small child, when he took that mud and then put it in his mouth, and then she came to know that Krishna is eating mud, and then she went and checked his mouth, and she could see the entire universe in his mouth. So that is the first time he showed the universal form in some form and shape. Then the second time was for Duryodhana and company, the entire people assembled there in that assembly that time, when he went to as a messenger of the Pandavas to say that they have fulfilled their part of the whatever conditions that was put, because they lost in that gambling match, and therefore they were given some conditions like you should be in the be out of this kingdom, and then there should be 1 year where you should be completely incognito. That means nobody should be able to recognize you in that 1 year as the Pandavas. After that, then I will give you back the land. So that then at the end of that 1 year period, Krishna is coming and saying, okay, now that they have fulfilled their side of the obligation, now you give back the land. So for that kind of a mediation, when Krishna is coming, Arjuna, naturally, his idea was to deny the Pandavas their land. Therefore, he has already decided that he will not give the land. And then he's keeping all his soldiers, everybody ready. If Krishna comes and then he's making a lot of noise, then simply arrest him and, like that. So when finally Krishna says, you do this, and they have some discussion, but Krishna is very firm that he should give the land. And therefore, immediately Arjuna gets angry and he says, oh, my soldiers, please arrest this Krishna. So at that time, Krishna smiles, and then he manifests this form. Not this form, but a very limited universal form, through which they are all able to see very powerful personalities stemming out of his body. And everybody was stunned there. And Krishna simply walks out of that assembly. So that was the second time. And here is the third time. But this one is much more different than what the other 2 saw, here he is showing many personalities. Like here he is talking about Rudra, Ashwini Kumaras, Vasus, Aditya. So these are different demigods. Basically, it is also mentioned, right? The demigods are all the limbs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he is showing all of them here in this particular verse. And Arjuna is beholding it with awe and reverence. So I will stop here. We have reached 7:2. If there are any questions or comments, welcome.
Thank you, Prabhuji. You have given a lot of points today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. God bless.
Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
Dandavat
Prabhu.
Pranam,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Pranam
Thank
to
you,
all
Prabhu.
devotees. Thank you, Hare Krishna.